Hey y'all, so we are back. Today is day 10 of the Mass Make March 2023, hosted by Cindy at Studio Lou. Excuse me. Hopefully you guys are following along and creating your own ephemera stash along with us. So yeah, Booklets is today's prompt, and I typically, what I've been doing this last 8 or 9, 10 days is I would watch Cindy's video, and then in the evenings I would tackle my own and I would gather information and inspiration from Cindy. But today it's not the case. I'm flip-flopping it. So I'm going to attempt to make booklets without any kind of inspiration or knowledge as to exactly what booklets are. I'm kind of got an idea, but kind of not. So it'll be interesting to see if what I do is any comparable to what Cindy does on her videos. So yeah, we're gonna just jump right into it with booklets. I have a handful of this is from yesterday's playing around with the stamp. Turned out pretty cool, but the thicker fly pages from books. And I thought I would start with them. They're vintage and grungy, and then I have some paper that I'm not quite sure where it came from, but I don't know if you can tell, it's quite yellowed. Well, you can't really tell with that, but it's quite yellowed. So here's a piece of white paper up against the yellowed. So I'm going to play with these two stacks of lined paper that I have. This may be tricky because this is a smaller guy, but we'll see. We'll see. So, firstly, my thought process is to do up a few booklets. This I can do and keep my lines intact. I'll have to decide if I want these fringes or not. So let's get us a handful. Let's just do this. And try not to be all over the page. Let's see how big these are. These guys are 11 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half. That doesn't sound right. 10 and a half. Okay, I'm counting this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10 and a half by 8-ish. Some start by, I'm not good at math. The math gene did not hang around with me. I got the creative gene, not the math gene. So don't laugh at my mathing. We're going to cut this guy in half. And then we'll need to decide if we want these fringes or not. Maybe we'll keep them and we'll do like every other page. Like flip-flop them. You know, just so we have fringes on both sides. Because why not? Why not? Is that 2 pages? I guess not. And I'm typically like to go the easy route with these, with anything I do. You know, don't want to overwork myself. So my plan is I have my big long cool stapler. It's made for bookbinding and stapling, getting into the insides of books. So these guys are going to be stapled. I suppose you could do, stitch them like a regular book. That would probably make them look cuter. But we're not going into all that today. We're going to just staple these guys to make, I kind of feel like these are like base booklets. Like, they're pretty simple, they're pretty plain, and when you get to using them in your journal, you can add to or create with or do whatever you need to do with them. I think that's the best route, and it's bothering me that they're a little higher than. So we're going to trim some off. Just a little titch. A little bitty bit. Little titchy titch. And I'm not going to, yep, that makes me feel better. I'm not going to round my corners in the papers because the ones with the fray, it's going to be hard to round that frayed in. So we're just going to go with this. And we're all lined up, and so we're just going to give it a staple. Because they're made so thin, I just have a few pages in here that one little staple holds them just fine. I guess I could add some washies, but we're going with basic here. Generalized, generic, basic booklets. Blank booklets that we can add to and embellish as we need them. There goes the airplanes. It's a beautiful day here. Beautiful day. I'm not quite sure what the temperature is, but it's beautiful out, and so my doors are open. And again, I live by the airport. It's a little bitty airport, so just little bitty planes go by, but they sure make a big noise. They sure make a big noise, so. So my doors are open, so that's why you heard that loud guy coming through. You know how people say, it's literally in my backyard. Well, it's literally in my front yard. Like if I walked, again, I'm not good with measurements, but if I walked, 150 feet maybe, I'd be on the airport property. So, I am close. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, it's a little airport. It doesn't, it's not too disturbing. And then, across the street from it is the military, one of the military bases here. So you hear them doing practice and all that every once in a while as well. So it's one of those, little sounds of your home that you don't really pay much attention to until you're away from it. It's like, oh, I heard the airplanes go by. We live just a little bit, maybe 10-15 minutes from the military base, and so the C-130s fly over all the time. And so growing up, that was totally not straight, but growing up, that was the sound of home. We're gonna go with it. Yep, again, these are going to be real simple, basic booklets. Not really decorated, but made up and ready to go. Ready for some decoration. And I have another plain one, or I have this guy. This is kind of cool. If I fold it, I wonder how fragile this is. Obviously from an old book. We're gonna go with it. Maybe I'll add some lace to it or something when I get ready to use it in a journal to kind of strengthen that. It's not cracked, but it's older vintage paper, and so it's not as sturdy. It's got a little bit of age to it. Some of this paper has writing on it, but we're just gonna ignore that and not stress it. Or maybe we will. What do you think? We'll set that aside. Just because, you know, don't want it to throw me off. I think this is a little smaller, so I'm going to have to trim some more off. Or I could leave it like it is. I may just leave that. Leave it kind of shabby. I was a little off on my staple there, but again, we'll work with it. Okay, so that used up all the big paper. That didn't take long. So I have this, and my thought on this was to kind of do these like these booklets. Nothing says that you have to have like booklets. So my thought was to fold these down and have them like these kind of booklets. So do I want to flip-flop them to where I feel like I need more paper here. It feels real thin, but maybe we'll throw one more in there. And so, let's try to use this guy. This is a book page. We'll have to trim him down, obviously, but see, my handy dandy stapler goes in to all these big books. I got it a long time ago. I don't remember where I got it from. I'm gonna probably guess it was probably like Amazon or something like that. Got it years ago. I don't use it that often. Let's start by getting that out of the way. We're going to open him up and trim him down this way so I can see where I'm at. I don't use it that often because, well, up until lately, I haven't really been doing much book stuff. When I first started creating journals, I was using it because I wasn't sure what I was doing. And my signatures, I was using it to staple my signatures together before I sewed them in, mainly so they'd stay together. They kept sliding apart, sliding off, and my pages were being sewn in crooked, and my holes were being poked crooked, and so I would staple it and then sew my signatures in. Okay, we'll work with that. I'll make another one out of this blank. Make it a little thicker. And we're gonna go ahead and flip the pages. These, I'll keep my line on this. I'll keep my holes on the same side. I don't know if you can see, it's got the top of it's here, and so I'm just going to flip them upside down. So my tops are at the top and the bottom. My holes are still the same. I thought that's what I was doing with that last one, but that was not the case. So my holes are still the same, but my tops and bottoms are different now. So again, these are just going to be some blank generic booklets that'll be ready to go, and I can easily add embellishments that go along with whatever journal I'm making. And you know what, I'm going to round these corners. My inside papers are rounded, they're rounded big. My corner rounder is kind of little bit. Yep, we're going to do that. Okay, I also have these tops of some scrapbook page. You know, you can see they're tops because that's the got the holes in them. I thought about making some booklets out of those. So yeah, so usually these are perforated. I don't recall. These were just in my stash, and you'd think I would recall trimming down some, excuse me, some paper, some scrapbook paper with these designs on it, but I didn't. So I don't know if I got these in some Happy Mail somewhere or what, but they're cool. Now these, since they're skinny, they're going to be skinny booklets. I am still going to try to go with keeping my lines like this, so they'll flip open like that. So I'm going to have to trim down this paper. So I'm thinking I'll staple it in and trim it down from there. What do you think? What do you think? Or do I even want to use this? Do I want to? I can use, I've got some book covers here, some old vintage book covers that I can make booklets out of. Wonder how fragile they are if I go to fold them. Oh yeah, they crack. Okay. We're not going to play with those. They'll stay in my collage. My collage bucket. I'll keep it for collage purposes. If I can find some more book plates, that would be kind of cool to work with because they're just the right thickness. You know, they're not too thick, they're not too thin. So they make a good little cover. I thought I had everything ready to go. I have these. These are old postcard. Probably should leave them like they are because they're cool like they are. Although they almost make a ready-made booklet in itself. I've got to organize my scrap bin. Isn't that what we all say? Those of us who have scrap bins. Got to organize my scrap. Okay, I have this. Oh, let's work with this. This is I guess a portfolio, maybe? Let's work with that. We have this. These are, I guess these paintings or prints, yep, were in there. Okay, let's work with these. Let's set our scrapbook pieces aside because they're kind of small. And let's work with this guy. I'm going to work with the fold, I think, although I really don't want Andrew Jackson junk on it. So maybe I'll just work with this back piece because it has no writing on it. Although I do like the blue, but I'm going to work with this fold. No, because then it'll be too short. Overthinking. I am officially overthinking. We're going to make our own fold. Yep. We will only be able to do one, but you know, it'll be cool. It'll be blue. Do we want a torn edge? We can fold these in. What do you think? Should we fold these in? Or tear them off? I'm gonna say we tear them off. Why not? I tore crooked because I do that. Look how crooked that is. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I said earlier in one of my earlier videos, I don't do well with tearing like this because I get it crooked every time. And, ooh, came off short on that one. So maybe I'll trim down my papers. I sometimes get in this where I trim here and I trim there and I trim there, and it ends up being like 6 inches shorter than I really wanted it to be. Because again, I don't math real well, so I eyeball a lot of things. So if it's eyeballed and looks good, then we go with it. So this one will be a basic blue, but it's old and vingy. I just made a new word, vintage / grunge, vingy. Vintage and grungy. I don't really want to use his face. I don't think this is... We will have black and white one. Let's go ahead and cut him straight. Give him a clean cut to start the day with. Yeah, that's a little different. I do have just some regular paper. It's so white though. I do have some cardstock. I can make some booklets with that as the cover. It's so white. You know how that does. It intimidates us. We get freaked out with the white. I figured I'd have to cut you down. So this one I'm going to cut off the circles. Try to cut them straight. Again, just eyeballing it. Could trim it down a little more. I think I will. I think I'll line it up and trim it down. Just a little bit. Kind of bothers me that this end is rounded and the rest are not, but we're gonna go with it. Not stress it. Who knows? It may work in perfectly. When it comes time to do that journal, do the journal with it. It may work in perfectly. So let's see here. Where are we on time? Oh, making good time. Knocking these jokers out. That horse looks so sad. He's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? I took a workshop, I guess it was last year. Yeah, that's too. And it was basically working with books and book covers. Oh, I have the other page of this guy. Oh, but that's got the Jesus on it. I don't really want to do that. I'm not a fan of the religious stuff. But anyways, I took a workshop on collaging with books and book pages and all that. And so I have all these book covers, and most of them are vintage. So once you fold them, they are cracked. But I do have a lot that are not so fragile. This guy, yep, he's fragile. Constitution. That's nice and boring. Maybe I'll work with this. I don't even know what this is, but it looks kind of cool. Instructions for using log slide ruler. That sounds important. I thought I had 2 pages here. I don't know if that's going to be thick enough. It kind of feels kind of thin, but we'll work with it. We'll do 2 of them like that just to see. Just to see what becomes. Well, that was oddly almost perfect. Yeah, I think it's going to be too thin. I wonder if the cover is a little thicker. I don't think it is. So we're not going to get too carried away with that, because it is so much thinner. Okay, we are moving right along. Let's see what else we have in the book, in the box. Here is a book plate that's a little thicker. I say book plate, fly page, whatever it is. That's crispy. Crispy pages, crispy pages. Here's these, but they feel a little thin as well. I'm a-digging, seeing what all we have to work with. You know, I had everything kind of set out, but that went a lot quicker than I expected it to, so I'm kind of thrown off, which is a good thing. Oh, let's see here. We have, we have a calendar page, and then we have some more of this blue. Let's see if it's got writing in it, so we can work with this side of it, and work with the calendar page. So let's put Andrew Jackson back in the box. He will find another purpose. Excuse me. Let's make up one with this blue. I'm just randomly grabbing pages. Now we need to, we're going to try to tear straight. We're going to try. Straight-ish. Although I could go in a little bit more, but we'll leave it. We'll leave it so when we get to creating with this booklet, if we need that extra, we'll have it. How is that for a plan? That stinks. Let's go at it this way. Still stinks. Okay. But you know what? I got a lot of room, so I'm going to try it again. Okay, it's crooked, but we're going to work with it. A lot of room in that one. Okay. Good on time still. I wonder, actually, now that I think about it, if I fold him this way, I can get two of him in there. Yep. And I guess that's where we'll tear him. So how many pages do we have here? We're gonna split the middle. 3 pages in each, and we'll flip these just to toss it up a little bit, just to add to it. It's gonna have a little rooster on it. How cute is that? See if we can tear. Nope, we can't. Again, we are no good at that. Maybe we'll just trim him. I feel like I need to trim that torn edge just a little bit to line him up. And let's round our corners and call him done. And the last one. Maybe that's what was throwing me off. Looks like there's tape where this calendar was taped up, maybe. Maybe that's what interrupted my tear. Oh goodness. Guess there's tape all over the place with this guy. Well, we're just gonna have to work at that. Let's just some of that. Maybe I'll try tearing it before I put my paper in it. See if that worked. See if that worked for us. It did, but we ran over our edge there. That's okay. We'll trim him down and call it done. Yep. Trim him down and call it done. And again, you can easily do, you know, just like a 3-stitch or a 2-stitch or whatever with these guys, but I kind of wanted to make some up really quick. And you know, I'm gonna go ahead and call it done. Mainly because I typically don't use a lot of booklets in my journals, so I don't want to make up a whole bunch that I'm never going to use. So yeah, this is what we ended up with. That's pretty good, pretty quick. These two were made from the Rooster calendar, and they'll be more of like a, if you want your line pages, they're going to be like this. So that's 2, and then we did 2 with this blue. And again, I feel like these are really thin, so I don't know. One random black and white one. And then we have our plain ones. And then we have one from our book page that we were stamping on last night. 2 of the blue ones. Excuse me. And one with the boat, and one with the Victorian. So, what do we end up with? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 booklets. I think that's pretty good to get us started. So yeah, that was booklets. Again, I made these very generic, and so I can add to them, embellish them, do with them what I need to do with them when it gets time to it. The nature journal I'm working on, I don't foresee a booklet in it, but if I decide to, I've got a blank one that I can embellish and make it happen. So yeah, there you go for booklets. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, hopefully you're following along with the hashtag Mass Make March 2023, hosted by Cindy at Studio Lou. We're having fun with this. So it's still early in the month, so you're welcome to jump in and join along with us. Tomorrow is button cards, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know I don't sew, so but I have an idea for these button cards, so I may do a little tiny button sewing tomorrow, kind of like I did the other day, but I have an idea that I'm going to work with on these. So tomorrow we'll be back with button cards, and so that's it for booklets. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.